But again, let's remember the Britain of those times. For all its faults, this was the Britain that established the West Africa Squadron of the Royal Navy, which was responsible for the cessation of the transatlantic slave trade. For all of the contemporary angst in Britain about the British Empire, it was, in many respects, an empire of justice, and the stamping out of the slave trade is something that contemporary Britons do not give themselves sufficient credit for.
I've often thought that if you're a poor, unfortunate slave on a ship on the Triangle on the way out, living in the most appallingly horrible circumstances, chained up on a ship, rolling around your own bodily waste and that of your neighbours and what have you, and a Royal Navy ship stops you and frees you, and in fact many died in that work, white British Navy sailors, I don't think you'd be accusing them of being terrible racists.
No, exactly right. I mean, at a time when slavery was universal outside of Western Europe, Britain spent a very significant percentage of its national income on the Royal Naval squadrons that stamped it out, at least the transatlantic slave trade. And then, of course, there were the soldiers and missionaries in Africa who did their best to stamp out the African slave trade internally as well.
Tony, I have to say that I worry about the fragmentation, the atomization, and frankly, the level of hostility now between some of the identity groups in Australia, between and within broader culture. When politicians appeal to Australian values, I sometimes wonder what they mean, because an awful lot of them, frankly, play to our differences, not the things we have in common now.
I think that's a fair point, and I really dislike identity politics because, as our former leader used to often say, the things that unite us should always be more important than anything that divides us. For me, what is at the heart of what we like to think of Australian values and the broad concept of mateship, for instance, was something that emerged from the very beginning of modern Australia when, as I say, 1,500 bedraggled souls were dumped on the other side of the earth in a land that it took them quite a while to start to make sense of. Everyone had to muck in together. And I think that gave particular power to that gospel idea, if you like, or the golden rule, if you like, treat others as you would have them treat you. I think that has been probably better assimilated in Australia than almost in any other country.
One of the famous stories I remember learning about Governor Phillip and the early settlement was that when it ran very short on food, as a farmer I've never been able to understand why that happened, but it did. The governor himself put himself on the same rations as everyone else, the convicts, the lot.
Marines were hanged for stealing food. Convicts were hanged for stealing food. It was the same treatment for everyone, regardless of their position. And likewise, fast forward 150 odd years, unlike in the British Army, officers and men, they just messed in together. No Australians were shot for desertion in either war. Again, it was this idea that we were all in it together. No distinctions of rank or class.